Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to MTG Arena. Today is Friday, December 6th. We did a ranked draft course at 2020 and got me a decent number of cards and a little bit more crystals. As far as the crystals go though, I'm hoping that the mastery thing for the next expansion costs 3,000 crystals. But that might be a little bit of too much of a hope, because if they're selling this, for instance, for 3,000 crystals, or a bundle of 5 sleeves for 3,000 crystals, that might be too much to ask. So we'll just see. I guess 90 packs of the next expansion would also cost 18,000 crystals. Is there a smaller bundle here? Yeah, 50 packs would be kind of where I'd want to open it up on as far as the next expansion. So 9,000 crystals might be our target goal. I don't think I'll have 9,000 crystals by the time the next expansion happens. Not unless I just played core ranked core or ranked drafts of some kind over and over again. So now all we have to do is do the daily quest and get victories, and we need to play green or red spells. So let's get away from the one I was playing. Now I got this from Twitch Prime. So there's a whole new pack of which there was a whole new set of cards, although it is kind of questionable, I suppose, as far as how many of these cards did I have before, or did I just get duplicates. When you get something like this from Twitch Prime and they give you cards that you already had, are those extra cards going into the treasure chest that will give you more wild cards, or are they just disappearing into the ether? I wouldn't be surprised if they disappear into the ether a lot of times, and so there's just kind of like no dust system, and that is going to be a constant issue. What were we doing? Green? Will green do it? Let's see. Yeah, red or green. So yeah, let's play green and let's go. It's a Friday, but it's hardly a sleepy Friday. I started late, and I really don't have anything to say as far as accountability, since I spent all of yesterday setting up a phone, transferring data over from one old cell phone to a new cell phone. This is probably a deck to mulligan, because those were really expensive cards. Yeah, we'll just do that. But yeah, we've had somebody on the chat talking to me, so that's always nice, and we do have a decent amount of news to talk about, assuming that yeah, this wouldn't actually help anything right now. Assuming we can get to it, and if we could have one hour episode after having a 2-hour draft run episode, I would be happy with that. And then call it a day. Do my 3 hours of work per day, per every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then move on. Majorly, it still really is just an issue of my chair being incredibly uncomfortable. Yeah, that still wouldn't do anything. So this green deck, I think I was experimenting with creating food, and then I could use this to create 7/7 giants if I had foods, but I can't really do anything right now because spending 1 mana to get a different color mana is pointless, at least for the moment. Seems like my network is, at least as far as magic is concerned, working. But yeah, I don't know how much of that has anything to do with me fiddling with my network settings as much as it has to do with we are just now a full week away from Black Friday and we're back to more normal levels of network traffic. So let's start talking about games since we had games left over. Here we have a game on Steam called Volleyball Fever Flat. It's a square blocky game. We'll talk about it. That Minecraft was the most viewed game on Steam in 2019 according to sources. This game is $2.69 discounted, English only, single player, nothing here of interest. It does certainly go to show that there's that inherent problem of there simply being no good way to put that on the field. There really is just like, I forgot what I was even talking about at this point, and I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm trying a 12-hour decongestant pill, starting with last night, so it did feel like it worked. Like, instead of waking up hacking and coughing as I usually do, I woke up actually in pretty good shape, but it does feel like it also just dries you out as far as a person who there's two types of people, one who always have a runny nose and one who always has a super dried out nose, and same is true for like earwax and such. So seems like I've usually have more of a runny nose, and they've switched it the other way. This card literally won't do anything. None of these cards will literally do anything. These are all useless cards. I guess, yeah. Oh yeah, what I was talking about was YouTube. Yeah, it goes to show, since Minecraft was the biggest video of the year, it kind of regained from like Roblox and Fortnite a little bit. It just goes to show the inherent problem with YouTube trying to be a platform for or YouTube gaming in particular trying to be this platform for people over 13, when clearly the truth of the matter is that the vast majority of the audience on YouTube is under 13 watching Minecraft things. I seriously would not buy that there's a bunch of 25-year-olds watching Minecraft. There's probably some, but not a lot. Also, seems like the top 100 YouTubers this year is significantly down as far as the number of actual YouTubers and the top 100 and Vivo channels and corporate channels are significantly up, and that 100% has to do with Susan Wojcicki. I mean, you really cannot. I might as well just play a card because I'm gonna lose anyways. Like Susan Wojcicki totally was intentionally trying to promote people like The Rock and corporate entities and shift what YouTube was, into something completely different. And yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work for YouTube, and I know it definitely isn't gonna work for YouTubers. Force Smite is in terrible shape, but I really don't have time to do a deck rebuild either, and I don't think I can even do a minor adjustment here. I think it's going to have to be a full-on reset on Force Smite, so it might be easier to swipe out the cards that I'm playing now and just go back to the default green deck. Just retire this one and start over. Because there was just a bunch of cards like this that I was just waiting and testing. A bunch of really expensive cards in general. Play that. Can put that on the field. And that's kind of it. TechRepto has an article here. Campo Santo's game in the Valley of the Gods is on hold for now. Basically, they are all working on other projects at Valve, which means pretty much they are working on Half-Life Alexa. Or Half-Life Alyx, not Alexa. So, and everybody at Campo Santo changed their LinkedIn to basically reflect that. It seems fairly obvious, and I'm sure most people, even a lot of people said it when it happened, that when Valve hired and bought Campo Santo, they were buying them to directly hire some new modern game programmers who can make a new modern game, because the staff inside of Valve, for lack of a kinder way of saying it, is just full of a bunch of people who have gotten very complacent and lazy and just can't really make games. Now, inherently, I would argue, and I think most people would agree, that it is the crazy libertarian way that they run Valve, that Gabe Newell runs Valve, and everybody else who's secretly in charge because they're a shareholder of Valve, is the way they run their business is what encouraged and allowed for a lot of the employees to just not be ever forced to actually make games, and so they've become incapable or unwilling to make games at this point. Like, complacency has bred this situation, and eventually I assume complacency will continue that situation. I seriously doubt that in 10 years the people that are still working at Valve from Campo Santo will have made several more games. The game In the Valley of the Gods was the game. Here's a trailer where you're a Indiana Jones like female running around researching something. There was another one that was about language and linguistics that is not this game. This is looks more like a strategy game. But I don't know if I ever got a ton of information or data about it. Oh, this sucks. This is just so bad. Add one of any color. There you go. Well, give me a green. And then, while you're at it, just add another one of any color. And give me a green. And then, while you're at it, just play that and confirm that. Put that on the field. Then we can double the 1/1 counters on them to 0. Wow, what the worst way possible to play that card with no extra mana at all. So he's a 0/1 with trample. Now, I think it's still important that I really don't like that Campo Santo employees are in Valve at all. Like, perhaps if I was super generous, I could say it was one Campo Santo employee that was in control of their Twitter that threatened to DMCA strike PewDiePie for something he said or did in a completely different game. Just, you know, pure SJW. I'm going to try and deplatform this person when he had a completely legitimate fair use case, and inherently that gets them blacklisted. It's a hard decision as a content creator to say I wouldn't cover Half-Life Alyx because some Campo Santo employee may have touched it at some point, but it certainly does. It certainly would have been a direct action going against the boycott of Campo Santo in particular if I was to play in the Valley of the Gods. And in all fairness, in the Valley of the Gods looked interesting enough that I would have wanted to play it if it was actually going to come out. But as we have it now, it is kind of obvious that this is just another example of Valve projects being moved to Valve time and it not being a big deal. Alright, well, I played all the cards I needed to with Forest Might, and since I don't really have time for that, let's play with this new deck and see if I can get some victories with it. If not, we'll move over to the black deck and just play the same old strategies. I've got to learn this new deck at some point. If anything, there are some indications that the employees that came in from Campo Santo potentially could have been the bad apples, in my opinion, that started pushing for more censorship on the Steam storefront, and we've seen the censorship be a issue that pops its head up every few months or so, whereas that was never a mention, as far as I recall, at all, or a concern at all for Valve. Valve was more than happy to put anything and everything on. Let's see. So, when it enters the battlefield, amass 1 zombie tokens you control have hexproof and menace. So we want zombie tokens on the field first. So amass actually works also. So I can just do this first turn. And I'll put a zombie on the field. And so this would amass and just put a +1 on this. And this would do that. So we're building up a huge zombie. not a zombie army so much, which is a little bit weird, but a zombie. Okay. Do I have the land? I could do this. I can do this. And then I can attack. We can do a face race. Moving on, we have an obituary here from Gamasutra, Edge editor Jason Brooks. So, he was a writer, Edge magazine, an old magazine. I don't think it's been in print for a while. It doesn't seem like he's done anything else otherwise, and boy do you get just an incredibly short amount of information here. No links to anything, nothing to give any more information. There's no hashtag even, or person to tweet to consolidate and share any consolidations. This is a video game journalist being obituaried here, not a video game designer, so in a lot of ways that's barely even video game news, because people, let's face it, die all the time. So yeah, there's really nothing more you can say there with such a small amount of information. They don't even say what he dies from, they don't say when he was born, they don't say his age, they don't say if he's left with any family or friends, they don't say when or who to contact if there's going to be any kind of memorial service. There's really just an incredible lack of details being given there. This works. This deck is working. What does this do? Let's see. Amass 2. Okay. So that should buff that up to a 6/6 and give him flying. There we go. And with that alone, I've won. So this deck looks good. This Amazon Prime deck is starting off on a good foot, to say the least. Let's keep playing. Next we have a game on Steam here called Majula Frontier The Offensive. This looks like it's an RPG game with a lot of text and a lot of screens. Yeah, seems almost like it would be a mobile game, but there's just way too much text here, so it's just seems like it's probably a Chinese game, free to play, English only. It seems like somebody doesn't understand that video games are supposed to have video in them. That is pretty boring looking to play. Just gonna keep everything and we'll see how that plays. Right, so do I have anything? If we play this tap to start with, that's probably the best move. And then we'll play this, and then we'll play this. So we do that. And didn't do that. Next, there's a game on Steam called Space Carrot that's clearly a Flappy Bird clone. 99 cents, English only. A whole bunch of things here, like remote play on tablet, remote play on phone. There's too many icons now at this point. You can have for particularly when you're just putting out a Flappy Bird clone. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, it's just ruining his strategy. It's probably way too early to be playing Murder, but we'll do it anyways. TechRaptor has an article here. New Plague Inc. fake news scenario conquers the world with misinformation. So you can see here there's a fake news button. So they've added a new scenario that seems to change it a little bit. This was, I assume, the big news that they were going to announce. Okay, fine. Like, in time for the next election that is always happening around the world. Let's see. There might almost, well, there's a very high chance that there's some political leaning to making a scenario called fake news, but in a broader perspective, fake news is a problem always. Although the phrase fake news is also just bad. Like, you need to go back to using the old terms of propaganda and yellow journalism. And we need to just better educate people on those terms, that they existed and have existed for a long time. Right. Draw 2 cards, fine. And put that in the field tapped. Seems like that's good. And then no attacks. I don't think a fake news scenario specifically makes me want to go back and try and play more of Plague Inc. I enjoyed it just fine and had my fill of it, but no real desire to go do it again. Or play more of it. I've got other games to play. See, if I hadn't wasted the Murder, this would have been probably a good point to do something else. Right, well, that's tapped and that's tapped. I could attack with several of those things, but that would be bad, so no. TechRaptor has an article here. Console versions of Gwent are shutting down next year to focus on mobile and PC. At least that's what they're saying. It does kind of does seem like maybe Gwent is also getting abandoned. Let's face it, Gwent's been out long enough and it just didn't catch the world on fire. It would have been sort of nice if it had, but it didn't, and it wasn't likely that it was going to. Because Gwent is just a little bit too different of a game than things like Hearthstone or there we go. Let's see. At the beginning of your upkeep, I missed my upkeep. So I'm gonna have to protect myself. But I can go ahead and attack with this. Might be able to survive this, but probably not. Death Horde Invasion is probably a major card strategy that I'm missing. Let's see. I could draw a card, I guess. Alright, so we needed that to block that. We need that to block that. We need that to block that. And we need that to block that. And then... let's see. And I can't return the zombie from the graveyard. These token cards just disappear. So yeah, that wouldn't have worked. I can attack with that, and I can attack with that. And that's about it, all I can do. And I'm sure he doesn't even care because he's gonna win. Yep. A well-placed murder at some point in this game would have potentially changed it in the other direction. There was one game I played where I specifically made one mistake, and I could clearly see by making that one mistake I lost the entire game. Which is not something that ever felt like it was actually the case in Hearthstone. Like Hearthstone, it felt like it was very random, or you just had no chance at all. Or it was multiple mistakes that I wasn't even seeing. So perhaps even in these early days I have a slightly better understanding of what's going on in Magic than I ever did in Hearthstone. Yeah, it's nice right now to not also have any network issues. We've been having constant network issues up until this point for the past week. So, alright, let's keep burning through the news. Gamma Searcher has an article here. Starbreeze exits reconstruction, looks towards continued Payday development. So they basically went bankrupt, and it didn't even really affect them too much because they're getting back on the horse trying to make Payday 2 a thing, and it's probably way too late to make Payday 2 a thing. Gamatsu has an article here. Sword Art Online Alicization Light Cross launches May 22nd, 2020 with an updated information. This is going to be a part of the Sword Art Online anime, which kind of goes all over the place. I believe this Alicization Light Cross arc basically tells a completely unrelated story, and the main bad girl in the series is just like a totally like naked lady, girl, woman, whatever you want to call it, anime girl, I guess is the best way to say it. And she like fights with like floating swords or something while in the nude in the last couple episodes, and that's probably the only interesting thing that I could say about the entirety of that arc, because it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Sword Art Online as an anime only kind of made a little bit of interesting content at the very beginning, and arguably maybe it was more interesting than the hack animes ever were. But man, you got a problem here. 6 black mana, can't play any of the cards because I need a blue mana. Once I play a blue mana, then I can play a bunch of these. So yeah, Sword Art Online, interesting in the first couple episodes, and then got slightly interesting when you had Kirito and, oh, I forget her name, Asuna, playing house and acting as if they were a young married couple while being trapped inside of a VR world, and then having digital child, basically. That was slightly interesting for a while, and then maybe some of the action shots were cool, but it mostly falls apart. Flying a mess. This on the field. Probably should put this on the field if I could have. But see, here's the problem. I only have 1 blue, so... What does that do? Block any creature with flying. See, like, that card was played twice, and it did the same animation twice. It really shouldn't do the same animation. It should only do the animation when you play the adventure ability, Petty Thief. It should just not do an animation when you play it normally. Here we have a 7/7. I kind of have to block it or I'm going to lose. Yeah. And I really don't think any of the other stories that have just been, that are really just bad stories or relatively uninteresting stories with the Sword Art Online name attached to them have been that good. Tap a target creature. Opponent controls. Alright, well, tap that. Sure. Play that. Why did that not work? It's -2. Alright. It wasn't tapping it, it was giving it a -2, -0. Next there's a game on Steam here called Astro Pupa. It looks like it's a low effort black and white collection of arcade games for $1.19. English and Italian. Nothing there. Already talked about that, so we don't need to talk about it again. What does this do? Yeah, if you're not amassing though, you've failed. Next we have a game on Steam here called Sweet 776, which looks like it's a horror game, asset flip adventure game. It looks a lot like PT. It looks heavily inspired by PT. The thing there is, do we really want another PT like experience? $3.99 English full audio, 11 achievements. I mean, I'll put it on the fall list. It doesn't matter. We'll put it on the fall list, see if anybody plays it and likes it. But the thing about PT in particular was that it had this level of coverage and excitement around it that I don't think any other horror game would ever get. And almost certainly some of that had to do with, and I can only make a baseless accusation here, almost certainly Kojima influenced and pushed people to play PT before it was revealed that he was working on it or that it was going to be Silent Hills. So the right people, the influential people, got the video game journalists. We're not winning consistently enough there for my taste, so let's switch back to Out for Blood. And so, yeah, the coverage there may have skewed the excitement on PT, which may have gotten more people to play it, which would have gotten more people hyped on it. In retrospect, had PT just been a horror game that wasn't announcing a Silent Hill reboot, people would have probably played it and then been unimpressed and moved on with their lives fairly quickly. Let's see. And of course, in retrospect, it's almost completely irrelevant to play PT as it gets harder and harder to play the game, and as there's absolutely zero chance of Silent Hills ever happening. That would be the craziest thing of all, is if Kojima somehow got back to working with Konami and Konami actually was going to fund and make Silent Hills, and they changed their mind after such a public fallout. TechRaptor has an article here, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, coming from Ocelot Games. So, new Pathfinder game coming out. This looks like it's a video game and not a board game. It might be a board game, but we'll see, I guess. Don't want to block and kill something? Not really. Next we have a game on Steam called 33 Rounds, which is an Asteroid clone, low effort game for $1.59 with a bunch of language support. Don't need to say anything more there. I might have been able to attack that turn if I was paying more attention. Had I attacked with that, then he may have had to defend with that and kill this, but I'm not sure that this is particularly too important of a card anyways. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Halo Reach Steam Forge mode can be unlocked right now, which you need, but you need an Xbox controller. Let's see. Forge mode is a map maker thing. I knew that. The content is currently locked on the PC release of Halo Reach. But you can unlock it by apparently changing the hex file and then using a controller. Yeah, you have to use a hex editor effectively. So, like, I wouldn't worry too much about doing this it's particularly dangerous and a waste of your time, just wait until they update it in a week or two, and then you'll be able to play Forge mode with controller bindings and such. If that's such a big issue, I don't know. Like, there's probably a lot more talk amongst video game journalism about Halo than there actually is hype about playing Halo Reach, particularly. You would imagine that Halo 5, if it is out on Steam, I don't believe it is. That would be the latest Halo game. When that comes out, that'll be a bigger deal. But just re-releasing the Master Chief Collection and re-releasing Reach, which I'm fairly certain was the latest game, is great that it's on Steam. It's something that I probably should play, but it is not something that is super relevant right now, as it's not a new game, and as the video game world in general is fewer and fewer of the gamer bros that Microsoft created, and more of the old school gamers that were not playing first person shooter Halo style games exclusively. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Pokemon VGC 2020 rules mark the shift to Sword and Shield. So the VGC, I guess, is the Pokemon Video Game Championships. All battles will be double battles played in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So they're inherently pushing everybody to play the new game instead of the old games, which I wouldn't be surprised if Pokemon VGC, Video Game Championship, I assume is what that stands for, is run by Nintendo or the Game Freak or the Pokemon Company directly. Whereas if this was something closer to an EVOS type experience where it was run by an independent group, I wouldn't be surprised if they said, forget that, we're going to keep on playing whatever version they were playing, whether it was gold and silver or something more modern than that, or red and blue even, or a little bit of everything. And I'm not doing too well as far as victories on even my black deck. TechRaptor has an article here. Destiny 2 announces Season of Dawn, set to start next week. Okay, leave it at that. If I don't care about Destiny 2, so I'm not gonna go for more details. You can seek out that article if you're interested. The longly titled game Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Infinite Combat is coming to the West in 2020. Light novel based off of based anime based game. So, you know, this is the anime girl with the blue ribbon that she uses as a bra tied around her shoulders. So she's almost constantly bouncing up and down. Or perhaps slightly less bouncing up and down. TechRaptor has an article here. The Legend of Heroes Trail of Cold Steel 3 is coming to the Switch next year. Okay. I think that's on PC already. If you wanted to play it. I don't think it's a terrible game. It's just another JRPG. Maybe I finally got a good starting hand. part of what I might be doing wrong here, and why I've had a couple of losses, is because I have just not been mulliganing, and I was so tightly controlling this deck that mulligans, at least one mulligan, is often needed. Let's see. Here's TechRaptor talking about what I mentioned earlier. Minecraft was the most watched game of the year on YouTube this year, which certainly puts a problem with the COPA situation and monetizing when making any money while being a video game streamer. When your top 5 games here are Minecraft, game for kids, Fortnite, game played by kids by quite a bit, Grand Theft Auto, a game that shouldn't be played by kids, but I imagine a decent do, Arena, Free Fire, never heard of, and then Roblox. It's funny that there's a game I've just never heard of. I should research that. Also, the YouTube Rewind happened, and I haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna quickly put a video here, and let's see. I don't think this is actually the YouTube Rewind that I'm looking at, because if this is supposed to be the YouTube Rewind, it looks very different than what it's a bunch of numbers, and PewDiePie is in it, and I would think PewDiePie would just not coming up, and T-Series is mentioned in it. So yeah, unless they just did it. No, that's the YouTube Rewind, really interesting. Well, it's just having skipped through it, there's a bunch of like YouTubers here, a lot of them yeah, a lot of the people being highlighted for making fun of the 2019 YouTube Rewind, 2018 YouTube Rewind they're now highlighting people that made fun of it, and then they moved on to highlighting makers, and I don't recognize any of these people, honestly, at all. So it's just like the 10 biggest liked videos, and it's just a collection of people I don't recognize at all. Yeah, number 2 was PewDiePie's wedding, and number 1 was Mr. Beast making some video. And then they moved over to music now, and they're talking about music videos. So at 1 minute and 40 seconds they got over YouTubers making YouTube content creators to now music videos, which is probably going to be a major part of the rest of the game, or the rest of the video. Yeah, we're at 2 minutes and let's see when it moves over. Okay, 2 minutes and 15 seconds they go most like dance videos. So more music, more corporate things. And that was like the 5 most like dance videos. So they kind of went through that quickly for 15 seconds. Most like video games starts at 2:30, and then it's just like Fortnite and GTA people And it's like the most like video games, not the most like video game streamers. So they're not even comparing apples to oranges here. And then at 253, the most like beauty videos, which, I mean, there might be a lot of people that do that and like that. But then Kylie Jenner is number 3, and Shane Dawson, he's been mentioned twice. I feel like I've heard the name Shane Dawson from some controversy, but I don't know. I don't know one bit anything about him. Then at 3 minutes and 29 seconds, it's like some weird videos that seem to be just foreign videos or travel videos or something. Just at the end, I didn't even catch what that category was. And then at 3 minutes and 55, they go to most viewed creators, and let's see how many of those I recognize. Dude Perfect, number 6. Which that's a whole group of creators. Something called Pencilmation for number 3. And PewDiePie is number 1, so PewDiePie gets a couple of things. Honestly, I don't think the 2019 Rewind is anywhere as bad as the 2018. We're not seeing any Rock or Will Smith type people. No celebrity showing up to remind you that they basically made no content whatsoever on these on YouTube. Yeah, if you think about it, like Jack Black and The Rock and Will Smith in particular, as far as I can tell, made exactly 0 content worth mentioning. So the video's not too bad. It's just kind of highlighting a category and highlighting categories and mentioning things. So I can't really complain too much about the 2019 YouTube Rewind. We have somebody on the chat going, "Hi, do you speak English?" Well, if you can't understand me, what I'm saying right now, and recognize that it's English, there's no point for us to continue it, to have a conversation. That's probably a bot, if I was to guess, and they're not really watching the video. I mean, I've been streaming for several hours. I've been speaking English just fine. If you think I'm not speaking English, I'd like to know what you think I am speaking. I could win this if I can get Bola Citadel on the field and play it, which is a big if, because I think I might have enough to play Bola Citadel, but then I would have to be able to get a few more things on the field. I need 10 non-lands on the field, and I have 6, so I'd have to get a really good run of 4 1-mana creatures. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. Romero Games is hiring a senior 3D environmental artist in Galway, Ireland. I've lost. I think at this rate, I probably just want to cover the news and skip over the games that came out on Steam, and I'll just curate it and talk about those on after this. We have same person, Top Wisher. Let's play after this game. Right now, I'm kind of working towards wrapping up, so I'm gonna have to politely decline. Also, challenging a friend and direct challenging a friend in Magic Arena is not something that I'm really wanting to accept right now, because it's just too much of a hassle. We don't have friends list enabled. It's too much work to type in somebody's name, even if the other person is going to type in the name. So I'm just going to stick with playing and politely decline. Sorry. Like, once they implement friends list, I'll consider it a lot more. But also the problem right now that's going on with Magic is it just the daily quests to get a certain number of victories, unless I can get those victories playing other people easier than playing random people, it becomes way too much of a time management issue. We already, with Magic Arena, are in a situation where they want you to play and win 15 games. 15 games is a lot. It takes at least 20 minutes, if not 40, a game sometimes, to play a single game of Magic. Moving on, TechCraft has an article. Modern Warfare crashes into Season 1 of content, live now. If you're interested in Modern Warfare, seek out that article. Since I'm not, I'm going to skip it. Let's see. TechCraft has an article here. Rune 2 lawsuit underway over missing game assets and source code. This is the story I think I talked about on Wednesday, where Human Head Studios just suddenly closed, and they didn't give any of the art assets that the IP owner of Rune 2 needed, and they've just not been able to get the art that they think, or at least they seem to pertain to say actually exists, to continue development of the game with some other developer or in-house. And that's something I'm sure that happens in businesses all the time. If you've got a delivery that, if some company was supposed to deliver you something and the company goes bankrupt real quick, you probably have to take them to court a lot of times to try and be made whole in some way or other, and get what you deserve or what you paid for. And it's almost certainly not unheard of for companies to take the money and run, or have spent the money on something they shouldn't have spent the money on and then gone bankrupt. Let's see. 3 blockers. He really wanted my guy. He really wanted to kill my guy. Oh, no, he wanted to buff up that guy. I don't know how that's gonna help him. And I can do this. And I played wrong. I should have made this a white instead of a black. I keep making that mistake. And I've lost entire games because I should have made this a white so I could play this one card, so I could bring that back. And we'll fix that eventually, but not. It's a matter of paying attention. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Layoffs as the mobile developer Gameloft closes its UK studio. So yeah, Gameloft shutting down the studio and laying off people. Yep, it's the end of the year, and that's typically what happens is you start seeing companies shut down and laying people off right before Christmas. Sometimes the companies will be nice and lay them off further away from Christmas and the end of the year, but often it is just a budget thing. Let's see, Komatsu has an article here. Princess Maker Fairy Tales Come True for the Switch launches December 19th in Japan and December 23rd. This is the third entry into the Princess Maker simulation game series. I guess maybe it's a remake of the third Princess Maker game. Can't be the actual original release. Yeah, this is the third game. Daughter raising simulator, princess raising simulator game series that was a hit in its niche community for many, many years, but not super well known or received outside of Japan. Let's see. And I guess perhaps arguably not very effective considering Japan's declining birth rates also, or perhaps even arguably counter helpful, counter effective as far as encouraging people to have children. Although, in fairness, the Princess Maker game I played many, many years ago was super difficult, so it may have just proven that it's not worth the effort. There we go. Game over, I've won. Thank you. It may not seem like it, but it totally is. So do I want to start with killing that? And let's see. We can go ahead and attack here. 1, 2, 3. And that'll get me more health. If he doesn't want to attack, that's fine. If he doesn't want to defend, that's fine. If he does defend, it's fine too. Nothing he does here will really affect anything. Let's see. Komatsu has an article here. Black Clover Phantom Knights is coming to the West in 2020 as a smartphone game. So, yeah, next couple years, these games will come out, or they're at least scheduled to come out. But unfortunately, the games being announced now are probably very much like the games that have come out in the past year that are based on animes, or even in the past years that they come out and they're not that good and nobody cares about them. Particularly like journalists and such don't care about them, don't report on them. Alright. Well, let's do this. One, 2, 3. So I can now fix this and play this. So select white this time. That puts that on the field. And then go ahead and just throw that on the field too. And then play this. Oh, I shouldn't have played that land. But it doesn't matter, have fun. You activate Bolas Citadel, sacrifice all of these guys, and let's not sacrifice all the food. Let's keep one food just in case. That'll do more than 6 damage. It'll do 10 damage, and then, well, 9 damage, and then Bolas Citadel will do 10 damage. Well, 8 damage, whatever. 8 damage and 10 damage. Victory achieved. Next game. Game Switcher has an article here. Avakin Life developer Lockwood Publishing has closed its Leamington studio. I've never heard of Avakin Life though, so I don't know if that's really that informative or helpful. Now Lockwood has 2 studios in the UK and one in the one office in Lithuania. So, but probably be more important if that was a game that I recognize the name of. Is this one I should mulligan? Probably. Yeah, that's better. And then we'll send back that. Gamatsu has an article here. DJ Max Respect 5 launches via Steam Early Access on December 19th. DJ Max, I believe, is more of a mobile rhythm game. Might be a DJing game. Let's see. There's a link here on Steam Early Access, so if I click that, we could get maybe a video of what it is. It's got a big anime intro to it, and it looks very flashy, but it really is just a rhythm game. Yeah, it seems like it shows some animations that are somewhat more varied in between each game, or each song. But yeah, it is just a music game, rhythm game. And I can put it on the follow list certainly, but I have such a lack of rhythm that almost certainly I would not be able to play this. And I'm not sure how many people could play a game like this without plugging in some kind of DJ USB toy adapter that looks like a couple of records that you're scratching. This is English and Korean language game. So yeah, rhythm games come and go certainly, and they're in a kind of weird position where you're where you're not, they're never going to be as popular as they used to be, rhythm games, but they're going to be around. Here's another avatar face that I don't recognize, this being one that was available. Feels like the head icons are different sometimes than what the avatar looks like in the loading screen, to the point where you can kind of confuse the characters. Might be nicer if they made sure to put the names of each character whenever they're being depicted. And you don't really have the Hearthstone thing, for better or worse, probably for better. You don't have any slogans or anything being said by the characters at the start of the game to indicate your hero is. and make it feel like it's more of a actual battle and an actual conversation. Instead, you just kind of have icons. They don't even text-wise pop up a saying by default. Let's just go ahead and do no block there. Let's see, Komatsu has an article, Gladius announcement interview with Starcaster Games. Gladiator begins a reboot. Gladiator Begins reboot took on an identity of its own. Interesting. I don't know of this game Gladius though. Oh, it's coming out in 2020, and I just kind of missed this announcement. Almost certainly this isn't going to, like, the last Gladiator movie or sword and sandals type movie to come out was quite a while ago. It doesn't seem reasonable that you would have any great success making a gladiator based game. So if that does succeed, I'd be very surprised to see why. Unless they make a Gladiator reboot movie, and I don't even know if that would succeed. Or not really a reason. A couple days after the announcement of Riot Games being forced to pay $10 million due to some or most of its female employees by creating an unfair, hostile work environment. They now have this article here. They're announcing Riot Forge publishing label for third-party League of Legends games. By the way, on the numbers there, the $10 million based on seniority for people who worked at Riot, females that worked at Riot in the last 5 years. I got some more numbers on that. That's basically 1,000 employees. So 1,000 employees, unless my calculations are wrong, divided by $10 million, that's about $10,000. It's not a lot at all. It is right in line with the about $7,000 that they paid to make that Quantic Dreams paid to make the one employee go away that was suing them. So it's pretty easy, unfortunately, it's pretty easy to run a hostile work environment and not really pay any real punitive damages at all. It really is also, though, a weird case. Had Riot Games been bankrupted by some kind of settlement, I'm gonna lose here. Because of this, then there would have been no more League of Legends, and then the video game world would have been poorer for that. But $10 million is not going to be a lot to somebody who had a miserable time, or $10,000 is not going to be a lot to somebody who had a miserable 5 years working at Riot Games. It's not going to change their life or fix anything, really. And $10 million coming out of League of Legends pocket isn't that big that it's going to really hurt them in a way that they would feel that it's 100% necessary to change their ways. They were pretty much already changing their ways because they were getting much worse bad press, and the bad press, I imagine, cost them way more than $10 million. This is almost certainly a great example of the problem with the idea of having fictional human beings and a fictional corporate entity. The corporations are people idea. In reality, it would make a lot more sense if a lawsuit like that happened and the person in the company themselves was liable for their bad behavior and bad actions in general, and there was some way, and the U.S. Constitution would make it very hard to seize or take control of a company and like publicize it or just even make major decisions. That the U.S. government effectively has no control over what companies do at all, short of jailing the people in charge of the company, which is not a bad idea in many cases. But if there was some laws, if there was a constitutional amendment and it said, no, this person was hugely hostile, hugely inappropriate, hugely unprofessional, he is effectively fired from the company. Maybe you say he keeps his shares, but they become non-voting shares, or order him to sell his shares, and just completely excise and remove a person from a company. That would be a much better response than just finding a company and then the company, for example, like Randy Pitchford, the government could fine Randy Pitchford for half of the things that he's allegedly done, but they can't say you're no longer to own this company. You could try, but it would get appealed and almost certainly would not stand up to any current laws. Now, if they made a constitutional amendment that said they could do that, that would be great, but that's highly unlikely to happen. It would solve so many problems when you have people like Martin Shkreli that we know shouldn't be in charge of businesses, and yet he's still kind of allowed to have some influence, and some of the stuff he's doing is like from jail. That's illegal. Like, you can't run a business from jail, but that's kind of it. You could go to jail, serve your time, and come out and still be the CEO of a corporation, and as long as you don't break some law that gets you in jail in the first place, you can get away with a lot of things that are unprofessional but not illegal, or immoral but not illegal. Moving on, Techraptor has an article here. Gloomhaven expansion Frosthaven revealed at PAX Unplugged. I'm not sure if this is a card game or a cardboard game. Yeah, I think it is, and not a video game. I really wish Techraptor would do a better job. Oh, here it goes. It's labeled tabletop. Maybe they are starting to label things when they change their website. Maybe it's me that's wrong. There. Next article, sorry there, just had a bit of a brain fart. TechRev has an article here. Control's Xbox Game Pass release has been disputed by Remedy. So apparently, let's see. Phil Spencer during Extra Life said that Control is coming to Games Pass on accident, and they came back and said, yeah, that was a mistake. Phil Spencer misspoke. Now, perhaps he announced something that wasn't fully signed, or he announced something that he hoped would happen, or perhaps he just made a full-on regular mistake. You never know. But I think Microsoft owns Remedy, so So yeah, it almost certainly will come to Xbox at some point. GameSpace. Maybe they don't own Remedy, come to think of it. Otherwise it wouldn't be a Epic Store exclusive type thing. Yeah, I really don't know if Control is going to even have any relevance or matter. Let's see. Moving on, Gematsu has an article here for the PC. The first-person narrative adventure game, The Suicide of Rachel Foster, launches February 19th, 2020 for PC. This is, what, like a retainer? There's a... At risk of being demonetized, I'll watch this video and report on this. It's a Daedalic game. Now, the thing about Daedalic, though, is that they're getting away from making 2D point-and-click adventure art and more 3D stuff. And this clearly is just another 3D game. What Remains of Edith Finch type game, walking simulator game, it looks like. Feels like my computer's fans are going crazy too. Yep. So yeah, that's mostly a teaser trailer, not something showing anything of any real informative bit of information. TechRaptor has an article here. Due to secure ROM, Tron Evolution's Steam version won't launch for users. I believe the secure ROM is no longer being allowed because it was kind of this weird exploit and Windows was allowing it. And it's just been kind of left there. Let's see. For Tron Evolution fans who own the now delisted game on Steam, they can't play it even if it's already installed on their computer. Why? Because Disney is no longer paying for secure ROM, so the activation site for serial keys is shut down. As reported by Raid Baron on the Tron Evolution Steam forums, Disney is aware of this issue and is currently working to solve it. The easiest thing to do is almost certainly there is some no CD crack. It's all Disney needs to do is go find a no CD crack, change it enough so nobody recognizes that it's a no CD crack, and apply it as a patch to the game and call it a day. And if you don't want to wait until Disney does that, just carefully seek out a no CD crack yourself, and hopefully you don't get infected with a virus in the process, which chances are high you will. TechRaptor has an article here. A year of rain to change plans after its poor early access sales. This was a great example of, like, you made this game, you released it in early access, then you abandoned the game because it didn't sell enough. You should have had enough funding to finish your game, even if you're putting it in early access. And it's inherently a problem of what early access has become. Instead of it being a way of engaging with the community, but still guaranteeing that you're going to have a final product like everybody else has always done before. You've always had to have a final product before you can start selling it up to this point. There's been no early access of things in grocery stores or Walmarts. It's only once it became digital was it able to pull these kind of shenanigans. But you still need to have been funded and capable of finishing your game, even if you're going to release it early, to get fan feedback. And unfortunately, it was always doomed to be a case where early access games, and the vast majority of early access games, do get abandoned and will continue to get abandoned because people will get the money that they think they can get and can just stop working on it and take the money and run. It's a bad system. It's similar to kickstarting and things like that. I cannot recommend it to anybody whatsoever. Not even Fig, not even a big game that almost certainly will come out. You never get treated right. You never get what you paid for. You always get ripped off. I don't recommend paying upfront for much of anything. If I went to a restaurant and they said you have to pay upfront, I would leave. If I went to a car dealership and they said you have to pay upfront before you can even look at the cars or pick one, I would leave. If I went to a Walmart and they said I had to pay upfront before I could even go inside the store, I would leave. There's some differences there, definitely. I am fine with paying at the time of sale and fine at paying at the time of delivery of products, but paying up front before you get anything at all other than a guarantee and a promise that's pretty worthless is not good business and not a good way to do things. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, Dragon Quest Builders 2 Jumbo Demo is now available for PC. I'm still not really motivated to try to play the Dragon Quest Builders series. It's just too much of a Minecraft clone. And if I was going to play something like Minecraft, why not just play Minecraft? TechCraft has an article here. Horrifying Visage is a terrifying and unsettling. Is this game coming out anytime soon, or is this just a hype article for something that is coming at some point? Yeah. It's on Steam. It's early access too. $24.99. Another great example. Why would a horror game need to be early access? Why isn't that a finished product? I already have this on my follow list. This came out October 2nd, 2018. Why is this still labeled as early access? And since you can, and yes, I know they explain their reasons, but their explanations fall flat on my ears. I don't even care to hear their excuses. I want to see it finished. And so when I do my next follow list cleanup, I will almost certainly remove it from the follow list, just because it's been given over a year, or at least several months past what it should have had to be in early access, and it's still not finished. Moving on, TechCraft has an article, Gaming Obscura Pulseman. I think this is probably talking about a game that's old. Apparently something by Game Freak. Let's see, Pulseman. Some kind of Sega game. Looks like it's kind of like a Mega Man clone, if I was to guess. Yeah, looks like a Sega Mega Man style game, which there obviously had to have been quite a few Mega Man clones, but none of them that I could remember. But that is also a great example of we're getting to the end of the year, so we don't get so much actual news and more retrospectives and old things. TechRaptor has an article here, Character Select, Subverting Power, Eddie Riggs from Brutal Legend. This again, more of a just kind of editorial instead of news. And I love Eddie Riggs and Brutal Legend. I wish they would just remake that game and make it actually something people who would have been fan of the heavy metal aspect and music would have actually wanted to play, instead of having it be a real-time strategy game. And frankly, it should just be like a story narrative game where you see the characters, get the cutscenes, and move on with your life, if you on easy mode at least. And they really hamstrung a bad game around a great concept, and it ruined the delivery of the concept when it totally shouldn't have. We should be on the third or fourth Eddie Riggs Brutal Legends style game. It should have been its own series that would have taken Double Fine to the top as a AAA developer and publisher, and it didn't, because of one major bad decision. Moving on, TechRaptor has this article: Space Channel 5 VR has been pushed back to 2020. I think Space Channel is like a rhythm game, so it could be played in VR just fine. I don't know if it really needs to be played in VR though. I would hope that whatever content is in the VR game is also playable outside of the VR game. I probably own Space Channel 5 or some Space Channel game, and could cover it right now if I had the time and energy to do so. TechRaptor has an article here: Minecraft Realms plus upgrades. Minecraft Realms plus, upgrades Mojang's subscription service. 50 plus pieces of marketplace content included. I don't know why you need to have anything to do with Minecraft Realms though. Like, I know they've been pushing that stuff for a while, but I still think you can easily connect to other people's servers for free. With just a Java edition, I think you can get mods for free easily. I don't think there's a need to have to pay a subscription service and buy microtransactions to play Minecraft. They're shoving in a lot of bad gameplay mechanics, a lot of horse armor style things getting sold that is not making Minecraft better for sure, and probably is making it worse. Next we have Gamma Sutra has an article: Downscaling, upscaling, and same scaling, porting to the Switch and underpowered consoles. This is more of a editorial or educational blog for programmers, as Gamma Sutra often has articles like that. And then that leaves me with just the decent amount of games that we can talk about on Monday, because I just don't want to sit here and go through them all. So I'm at the Humble Bundle store, and will we have any new bundles? No, I don't think so. Not for a while. Maybe a week or two, if we're gonna get there. And then I could go to my Twitter feed and we'll see if there's any big news here. Here's an article from Gamma Sutra: Epic Games Store policy change expands in-game payment options for developers. So what does that mean, really? Does that mean you can just pay with different kinds of credit cards? Let's see. Let developers and publishers choose their own purchase and payment services for in-game purchases. Alright. Well, that's not standardized, certainly. But it also does eliminate the idea that perhaps the Epic Games Store is taking a cut of in-game item sales, which almost certainly Steam is taking some kind of 30% cut for in-game sales, in-game app sales, which almost makes an argument that you should be able to force a cut when you run a video game store. That way in-game app sales don't get pushed too heavily. But the laws are going to come around stopping in-app purchases or limiting them quite a bit anyways. Here's an interesting article. YouTube creators tweeted out 55 minutes ago, now introducing a new easier way to collaborate and shout out fellow creators, tagging in video titles and descriptions. So you can now tag people with @ mentions. So as a head up, you need more than 1,000 subs to send it or receive mentions. More information here. And yeah, there were response videos from YouTube a long time ago. And in a weird way, this kind of is bringing back response videos, which is great because that's one of the few things that I think old school YouTubers actually liked. A lot of YouTubers got very popular and got a lot of views by making response videos to terrible posted YouTube videos. The Nostalgia Critic's coverage of Pink Floyd's The Wall, for instance, has a ton of like video reviews of his review, just showing how awful his review was. If they were all able to mention him directly and get more coverage and better connect their videos to his terrible video, that is basically what the response video system was. And it never really died away. The concept of doing response videos never died away, and they're still often very popular. It's just the ability for them to be easily connected and referenced got taken away. Perhaps there's a reason for that, and perhaps at mentions will disappear very quickly also. YouTube, you never know. All kinds of things come and go, and there is no consistency, and there's no safety in using any system. Let's see. And I'm scrolling down my Twitter feed now to see if there was any other bits of news. Being at the end of the year, not a lot likely to happen. And I have another distraction, I'm sure, coming in the next few days that would also be a great excuse to not make any more footage. And there's always Magic Arena with more victories per day being a big distraction. I don't know how to really fix any of this. The only good news is that really my channel can only have 2 or 3 things air daily, so the only thing I could really do is start airing something different on the weekends, but that does severely limit how many things I need to pre-record, which makes it easier. TechRaptor has an article here. Ubisoft is developing a Chinese exclusive Rabbids game. I think we had already talked about that, but I'll leave that for Monday. Actually, I won't leave it for Monday. There's kind of no reason to say anything else. That's all there is. Let's see. The Outlast Trials announced bring co-op horror to the series in VR, apparently. A Borderlands Game of the Year shift codes being given out. Did Borderlands 1 have shift codes? Maybe the Game of the Year did. The original version did not have the shift code system, I don't think. See, and now I'm almost to the point of 3 hours ago, and that's about as long as we've been streaming. Some games come out. THQ Nordic, I don't know if this was a joke on themselves or what, commented on some other comment, and I didn't really follow what the comment was, but they said that's not something somebody who's in charge of a business's Twitter should say. And THQ Nordic has been in the past for having their person in charge of their social media posting things inappropriately or having Q&As on 4chan, even if it was like the r/games section, and then people were complaining because 4chan is an anonymous message board that inevitably gets full of garbage that people don't agree with or don't want, but they don't censor, or they don't censor as much, and so people are not happy about that. People want you to use things like Reddit that do censor quite a bit. If you're a big company, just a bunch of outrage culture and stuff like that. If you do something on a different platform other than the SJW sanctioned platforms, they probably would have made a similar fuss had they just done a Q&A on like Facebook. Anyways, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos because that helps me with YouTube. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list, or gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.